Perfect. Welcome back to the channel, guys. A quick little live stream tonight. Gonna do some quad build, I hope, with any luck. I'm just sorting out a couple things on the stream here, and then I think we should be all set with any luck. Perhaps, almost, maybe. This is the quadcopter we built live here on the stream over multiple weeks. This is going back a couple of months. This is a 6-inch quad frame. Loved this thing. It works fantastically well, except I really don't like the underslung battery on this style of frame, but other than that, it turned out really cool. It's simply a monster. It's crazy fast, some pretty good hardware, and overall I'm pretty happy. Armando's here. Cheers, Armando. Good to see you. With any luck, the audio and the video is coming across fairly well. And I thought, well, I think we'll go ahead and get started on another quadcopter because, well, you can't have too many of them. With the success of that one, I worked on this, and you may have seen this on the YouTube channel here as well as my Instagram. It was my first attempt at a swirl paint on a quadcopter frame, and I have to say I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I took lots of pictures of it, and I've been kind of admiring it. And well, it's really time that we just get this thing building, get it moving towards something like this, and get some components on board. So first step is to kind of rip it apart, and then, well, then we'll get going on it. Thanks, Robert. Cheers. The audio in the video is good. Thanks, Armando. Appreciate that. Thanks for the feedback. With this PC has been nothing but a struggle, but I think we've got a system that's going to work. And hey, before actually, I'll go over that after. So this is going to be the guts of what we're going to build here. I got all the components in this box. You've seen some of this before if you watched the earlier parts of this build and the initial unboxing of this frame and overview. This is a 210 frame from GearBest and Running Gear. So what I do is I just throw everything kind of in a box because I have so many projects on the go, so I know where to find things. And in here we've got a power distribution board, the Seriously Pro F3 flight controller, which we're not going to use. I changed this up. This has not shown up on the channel, and there's really no point to me doing a video on this yet, because it would just be basically, hey, here's this cool little tiny box I've got. But inside here is from Rotor Riot Direct. This is the newest Betaflight F3 flight control, and we're going to use this on this quad. This is a power distribution board, flight controller, and OSD all in one. Unbelievable what they've done with this, and it's geared towards everything is supported that Betaflight can do. Current monitoring, everything. So through my goggles, I'll be able to see battery level, current, you name it. Everything is just gonna work. And before with the SPF3s, you couldn't do such things. And well, bonus, they sent me some cool Rotor Riot stickers. That was worth ordering it from Rotor Riot right there. I actually got official Rotor Riot stickers, which is, I don't know, it just makes me happy. Very, very cool. Booleanator, cheers, buddy. And Vetus, nice toys. Absolutely, this is going to be fun. So, I say we start building this thing up. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Choking to death tonight. In order to build it up, well, we're going to have to tear it down first. So, we're done with the big photo op with the dipped frame. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I couldn't be happier with my first dipped job, first hydro dip. Worked out really well, and I learned some things. I did a video on it, on how you can reproduce this frame pattern, I just used spray paint and a bucket of water. There's really nothing to it. That's why I was really happy to do that video, because like I love the carbon fiber look of all my quads, but I don't know, come on, that's just so much cooler. Unfortunately, we're going to cover it up with a bunch of components. So and this is actually the reason I named it Red October, well, besides I picked the color scheme for it, is this is going to be my first attempt at a reasonably waterproof quadcopter. So we're going to do things a little different on this quad. It's going to be a little bit more slow and steady wins the race. To do the conformal coating, we're going to use this stuff. Jeez, I'm choking to death. We're going to use this MG Chemicals conformal coating to seal the electronic speed controls and electronics, as well as I got it in an aerosol, which is enough to do me all my electronics projects. I'm going to do some Arduino projects as well, waterproof, but I got enough of that to do me till doomsday now. So this is going to be a little different build. What we're going to do is going to put I think tonight I want to just get the motors attached and hang out with you guys, and hopefully maybe, I don't know, we'll see if we get to soldering some speed controls or not. And this is what I do, just put the screws back in the standoffs that they came from, then we can throw it in the box and we'll be all good. So we're going to need some motors. And we're going to need another motor. Actually, we're going to need the hardware that goes with them too, so we might as well grab that out. I just have to step over to see the chat. Just make sure Sean Connery doesn't get a hold of it. Yeah, he might have something to say about this. It's going to be fun. And I always wanted a project named Red October, just because. So we're going to use, because I've built one of these before, I know it's going to be the smallest screws. Use the appropriate size screw for your arms. I'll show you guys that. If you're building a quad, this is a #1 mistake made by people building a quadcopter, is using the wrong screws. So when we put these screws through, focus you. I listened. This is a voice activated focus. We want to have just enough through to catch the threads, but not too much to go through, as these other ones will. They will go right through and hit the coils in the motor and destroy them, which would be undesirable. So in the case of these frames, I know it's just the shortest ones that they have in the kit. And this one should be the same with any luck. Hopefully, doing this live, I won't screw up and grab the wrong ones. And these are the Emax red bottoms. Old school motor now, but solid as all get out. If you want a crazy powerful, crazy dependable motor for your beginner quad or a really high performance quad, these RS2205 red bottoms are basically unbeatable. They're quite simply incredible. The amount of power they put out is well, I'll use the word foolish. They are absolutely nuts when you fly one of these quads. It is still well beyond my skill level to fly, well, particularly this quad. That thing is, whew, it is one special breed of insanity to fly. Fine if you're one of the Rotor Riot guys. They're fine with such things, but for me, it's a challenge. It is well and truly nutty. Alright, where's the small screws there? Yep, those ones. And we're good. We should be in good shape. Maybe. maybe, possibly. Hey, I'll let you guys in on a secret, seeing as how you awesome live viewers showed up. This MediaTek X20 development board, a $200 Android-based, well, soon to be Linux-based too, crazy powerful Raspberry Pi style board. I just cut the footage of the review last night, and the review will go live in a few weeks, but I'm giving this away. I'm going to give it away to one of my Patreon supporters. Last time we did an Arduino kit giveaway, I did it from a random comment on one of my videos, but this one we're going to give away to one of the Patreon supporters. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you're automatically entered, whether you want to be or not. You can always decline it, but it's a $200 dev board that was sent to me by Seed Studio, and this is a neat looking board. About the same power, just less than a Galaxy S8 in computing power. So you could do some pretty cool stuff with that. Really, really neat stuff with it. Now, that's the front there. So we're going to need to set up some motors. We have to set them up by, we want to set them up by proper rotation because these have clockwise and counterclockwise threaded nuts on them. So you always want the props into the middle of the quad. So rotation wise, that one would be correct, and that one would be correct, and I guarantee I'll end up screwing this up, and that would be correct, and that one would be correct. So we're good. Alright, we'll set them up properly and hopefully this will work out good. Andrew's here. Cheers, Andrew. And Jay's here. Cheers, Jay. Good to see you guys. Glad you guys could join tonight. Alright, what do we need? We need some Loctite. Before we can do anything, what I like to do is we'll put the motors on and then we'll decide how our speed controls are going to sit on the motors or on the frames, because we're going to get the wiring run. It's going to be very short. We're going to have to cut the motor leads exceedingly short, and then I'll leave everything loose, and then we'll conformal code everything, and then we'll reheat shrink these speed controls. In a previous live stream, I already disassembled the electronic speed controls. If you're not familiar with this setup, basically the speed control takes our LiPo voltage, chops it up, turns it into three-phase, essentially AC. It's a modified sine wave. It's square wave DC, but it's three-phase to operate the motors. And we'll go ahead and seal them up with a conformal coating, and then we'll heat shrink them, and then we'll attach them to the arms. And it should be it should be a rock star. This is going to be a fun quad. This thing, with any luck, should be essentially completely waterproof. We'll see how it goes, though. We'll find out the first time we dunk it in the snow. That's what I really want it for, is to be able to fly in the snow this winter and not be scared of it, because I never get to get out in the winter. Now, we need something to put some Loctite on. Let's use this. I think this will work all right. Yeah, I get to catch up with you guys in the chat the whole time. It's going to be fun. So I just take some Loctite. This is blue Loctite, 243. Don't ever use red. Ever, ever, ever use red on a quad. Technically, we probably don't even need to use blue. Most of the time, in my experience, we generally don't need Loctite, but I don't know, it's better to have it than not. It would really suck to have a motor come loose. I mark my hardware with witness marks, usually too. You take some white nail polish and just put a little dab on your hardware, on your quad, and then you can make sure the dab extends down to the frame, and then you can see if your hardware has loosened off at all with a quick glance, and you don't need to put a screwdriver or an Allen key on any of your hardware to make sure it's tight. That way you don't actually break any of the Loctite off. I'm just dumping all these screw bags out on the bench here, just so we have kind of a pool to draw from as we go to put all this together. Cheers, Julian. Hey, buddy. John, I recently subscribed. Enjoyed getting through some of your older videos so far. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the kind words, John. Glad you enjoyed some of them. That's why I make them. How the heck did I have that motor backwards? Those are reversed. See, this is what happens live. That'd be funny if the top ones were reversed too. No, they're not. Yeah. Alright. Let's go ahead. Let's start putting some stuff together. And the other... oh, this is the other thing I meant to do. Oh, I think I already did it. I think I took a drill bit. I did take the Dremel too. We had a lot of overspray, a lot of well, it's not overspray. It was gobby paint from the dip painting, kind of all over the place. And I already went and cleaned all that off. I kind of forgot I did it because that was several weeks ago. So you just want to get a little gob of the Loctite on the threads. Not a big amount, just a little. Just enough. Nothing crazy. And it also helps if you grab the right size Allen key. What up with that? Is it the blue one I want? I thought for sure that was the right one. What's going on here? It certainly wasn't. Das Blue is better. No, blue isn't. What's going on here? No. What's going on here? Are these oddball Allen screws? No, blue's the right one. It's just that one's marginally deformed. Alright, so set our motor on so the wires come out going up the arm because we're going to cut them right close to the motor here shortly when we go to hook up the speed controls. And you gotta, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, you gotta leave them a little bit loose until you get everything settled, and then you throw a screw right in the Loctite, which is undesirable, hence the paper towel I set out on the bench. It comes with an extra one. These come with 5 in each Ziploc bag. Maybe I didn't clean these out very well. I thought I did. No, I did. That's good enough. It's going to be hard for me to video everything, but I'll do the best I can. If nothing else, I'll get to hang out with you guys. It'll be fun. I worked a little bit on a Raspberry Pi project tonight too. Just a couple minutes. The one Julian was here when I was talking about it before. The kind of crazy rover project. I got an Arduino hooked up to the Pi, the kitchen Pi, and it's all set and going. Are these standard? That is awfully tight for that bit. So that's weird. I almost think those are standard. That's weird. Oh, of course I grabbed the wrong one again. The 2 mil is 2.5 mil is ridiculous tight. The 2 mil is way too loose. So, but this that comes with them is bang on. So either they're slightly malformed. Those are actually standard. That's weird. Anyway, we'll snug them up now. Because we've got Loctite on there, we can't diddle around too terribly long. We've got to let the Loctite cure up. They don't need to be screaming tight, just snug. Screaming tight will strip them out. It is only a small amount of aluminum you're working with. There we go. Motor mounted, frame. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Happy, happy, happy. Did we mount the right one the right way? Yes, we did. I'm going to check that many times. The last, when I built this quad, this quad, live. I checked, I could have swore I checked multiple times on the ESC wiring when I went to program it. Sure enough, I had the ESC wiring in the wrong places on the flight control, which meant I had to reassign them manually in the flight control, which is no problem. The cool thing with the electronics of these quads today is, as you'll see in a bit, we don't have to worry about motor rotation direction. Well, we do for these for installation because of the physical threads on the nut, but we can reverse the motors in the firmware or the speed controls, and we can also reassign the flight controller to be other connections. But it helps to try and get them somewhat right to begin with. But then again, building things live. There. That might be a bit better. Mistakes do get made, and well, I make my share of mistakes. Zach's here. Cheers, Zach. How's it going? Zach was building a quad not that long ago. Did I get that in the wrong hole? What's going on here? There we go. There's significant oblongs to the holes. It gives you lots of room to work with. And hopefully get it aligned correctly and get the screws in. And this is the extent of initial quad building. It's a little monotonous. Wash, rinse, repeat. More Loctite, more screws, and then we get to the fun part of soldering ESCs. And then we get to the real fun part of putting on the flight control. And don't let this scare you. If you're interested in getting into quadcopters and drones, just go ahead and jump in, buy a kit. These are not difficult. Despite what some say, how it can be difficult to assemble one of these, it is not. The first one I went pretty slow and made my share of mistakes, but nothing terrible. And honestly, the second one just goes together like so easy. There's just nothing to it. They are not difficult. Unless you're streaming them live, in which case I'm sure something will go terribly wrong. Hackins here. Cheers. I did build that quad, still learning to fly it. Had to find time. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, that's the trick these days, is finding the time. That's my shortfall. I have the next upcoming week, the schedule is just foolish, so that's why I thought I'd go live and hang out with you guys tonight while I could. And yeah, see if we can build up an awesome new quadcopter. This thing is going to be a beast. It is going to be fast. I have an identical sister ship to it, but I'm going to build this one significantly lighter than the first one because of this new the new flight controller. It sheds the weight of the PDB, and I'm going to shed some weight of even more wiring. It's going to be just well and truly a beast. Come on. There we go. And we just leave those loose. Next, and next, and next. Wish I could do some tunes on the stream. That'd be fun. But unfortunately, copyright kills that. The previous... we did an electronics giveaway. I already mentioned to you guys that we're giving away this new board to Patreon supporters in the upcoming weeks, but the previous Arduino kit giveaway, yesterday I recorded the winner announcement. So the winner has been picked. I posted on that video that all the people that entered, thank you very much for the comments on that video, and the winner has been picked, and it will go live next Wednesday at 3 p.m. and the winner will be announced, and I will ship that out to to a subscriber who gets a nice new electronics kit. And yeah, my goal is to do a lot more giveaways. It's one of the bonuses of being able to get a few things from suppliers now, and again, I can re-gift them, so to speak, because I always make sure when I accept them, well, for one, they don't need to be sent back. For two, it has to be something that fits on the channel, something that I would have purchased anyway. And for three, I tell them right up front now that I'm going to, there's a good chance that I may send this off to a subscriber and let them take it forward from there. So, so far, I haven't had any resistance to that other than, like, obviously they would rather see, like, more than one video done, but on some of the stuff, like that development board that we're giving away, it's a $200 board, so I'm sure they would rather see me do more than one video on it, but they were, I'm sure they're fine with it. Seed Studio that sent me that one, so they're a pretty good company. I've had good luck with them in the past. Why is this sitting goofy? What is going on? Is it just the wires? So I can see this motor is sitting slightly crooked on the frame, and you always want to make sure that you don't have a gob of something under there, and in this case I can see it is just the motor, the wires coming out of the motor bell that are holding it up. So if we give that a pull, it should sit down flat, but if it doesn't, we need to reinvestigate what's going on here. And it does, and it sat down flat, so we're all right. Otherwise, you can get into big trouble if your motor's not sitting flat on the frame, and you can tighten it down until you will either strip the hardware or destroy the motor, or it's possible you could break the frame. Anything's possible. There we go. Motor number 4. I think we might as well solder some ESCs maybe. I think we're in good shape. Maybe. We'll check the rotation direction on all of these again and make sure I got them on the right spots. I think we should be in good shape. I don't think we messed up too bad this time. It's hard to do this while you're videoing. I will honestly say that. Alright. Done. We have the beginnings of a quad. Tasty tidbit, you can actually use these as a little 3-phase generator. If you hook the voltmeter across these and spin them up, because it's a permanent magnet motor, it will generate a voltage, a significant one, in fact, depending on how fast you spin it. We're good. We are good. Can't believe I got that right. Usually don't. So we put the spare hardware back in one of the Emax motor cases, and then what I do is take all the spare prop nuts and everything and put it into one later on, and it'll go into my FPV backpack. Except we forgot one. The one that's covered in Loctite over here. We ended up not using. We'll just wipe him off a little bit and throw him in the case. I think we're good. Julian, I saw your video linking to your website there. Very, very cool. The website's looking good. It's nice to see that. Nice to see you getting some... Oh, crap. Dropped it. Nice to see you getting some views, too. Very, very neat. If you guys, anybody's new to the channel, I ran a Tech Live broadcast every Monday night for a very long time, going on 3 years. And the focus was to mainly just share other people's content and YouTube channels, and I will be firing that back up again this fall. I like doing that in the winter months. It's a lot of fun. Or we can always just do more of these live from the bench shows too. Alright, we're golden. That is done. speed controls. Should we start with them? I think we should. So I've already gone ahead and removed the wires off of these and tinned them up with 6040 leaded solder, and these things should be pretty much ready to go. If I remember right, it's been a while since I did that on a live show. These are 30 amp monster speed controls. Like I mentioned before, this is a little bit of a monster quadcopter. It needs a lot of juice, and on punch out I can tell you it sounds like it's the other one I have sounds like it's basically destroying the air molecules. With these tri-blade props it sounds even crazier. I was running 2-bladed props on most of my quads for the longest time. I just switched to tri-blades, and in fact I have a buttload of 2-bladed props to use up, so I'm still going to be running those from time to time. Alright, let's get the soldering iron warmed up. And we're going to use the good old WEP and the Unger, and we'll get those fired up, and we should be in good shape. Possibly, once they warm up. Catch up with you guys in the chat quick. It's been tough since 8-digit PDX pass, so just jumping in again. I didn't know anything about that, Julian. Just sorry to hear. I don't think I know who that is either. Sorry to hear. My condolences. That's not fun having losses. Alright, let's get situated. I wanted to do a little bit more work on the Arduino satellite too, but the code that I wrote for this 2 weeks ago failed miserably when I went to test it on hardware. So for anyone who remembers that project, I was a little excited about that, but well, unfortunately it didn't work out in the last couple weeks. So be it. So be it. Alright, so what we want to figure out is where do we want the ESC on the arm, and we're going to want it bloody close. We're going to want it right where that heat shrink ends. We're going to want to cut it and have it splay out onto the ESC. So let's go ahead, and I found the best way to do this on these is to just dive in. Remember to leave yourself enough so that you can strip them. So you want to leave an extra tiny bit, but not much. With any luck, that'll work out pretty good. We'll find out in a moment how I did. You could strip these and pre-tin them first, but I find it's so much easier here on the frame to just do it here. Just be careful you don't yank these out of the motor when you strip them, because sometimes the connections inside the motor aren't exactly the strongest. So let's see. Can we... we were in the Marine Corps together, brought me into YouTube. Oh, shitty. Well, I'm glad that was a good distraction. I'm glad you got the website together. Yeah, it's no fun losing anyone, especially somebody that kind of helped you out and brought you into, well, something like YouTube. I don't know. That's no fun, period. No fun. Alright. What are the odds of being able... everything's backwards and upside down and out of focus because we are too close, too far, always. Let's see if we can just focus on that focal distance first. These USB microscopes are great, but they are a challenge to work with when you're live on YouTube. Alright, so we're going to go with some heavy-duty leaded solder. We're going to tin these. We're up to temperature on the iron. We just got to clean our iron up, which you can see on the overhead. We'll tin those. I got the strands are pretty close together. That's the other thing with these Emax motors. The wire they use is incredible. I love these kits. You can find this kit on my channel. It's the GB210. The quality of the hardware is impeccable. I have nothing bad to say. Oh, I'm focused on not even on the right set of wires. Well, isn't that fantastic? I wondered why the focal distance was so far off. I was on the far side one. Alright, well, let's try and do gooder here in a minute. Shit. The fun of live streaming. The last couple of nights I've been doing good at this, but tonight I can't seem to win for losing. I don't think we're going to be able to get these in. Let's try focus first. Yeah, well, there they are, but what's the odds of us being able to get this so you guys can see it? I'd say pretty much nil. Yeah, it's out of focus too. What's going on here? Should we try and get that better, or should we just give up and just use the main camera? I think we should just give up and use the main camera. Let's do that. That's not going to work tonight. I don't have the patience for that tonight. You'll get the idea here. There's not much to it. With those pre-tinned, all we're going to do is stick them down. Now, in previous eons, it mattered. You had to actually swap two phases to reverse the rotation on two motors. But nowadays we can reverse the rotation right in the firmware of BL Heli, which is the firmware I'm running on these speed controls, or will be running when I update them. Once we plug them into the flight control, we'll be able to make them talk through the USB connection. And oh, what? The curse of the live stream strikes already. That was bad. That was really bad. Come on. This only pretty much works there. You only have a certain amount of flux to work with when you're not actually adding flux, so you can't kind of dink around with things too much and resolder, otherwise it tends to get foobar. And I didn't have my tip in, I was all ready and lined up, and I wasn't ready with soldering iron. Tin the tip. I have no idea whether you can see this, but I'll do better on the next one. If you can't, I'll tell in a minute. And you will burn your fingers when you're soldering that close, but it's a small price to pay. There we go. That's looking good. I'll show you with, we'll get the microscope out in a second, and I'll show you the final result, if I'm proud of it. No, I'll show you either way, no matter what. I think it's important that people see what a good solder joint looks like. Because, well, to be honest, I see a whole lot of crappy ones on YouTube. And these are flowing a ridiculous, ouch! These are flowing a ridiculous amount of amperage. So they need to be high quality joints. Otherwise, you will get yourself into trouble. Positive note, I was thinking about your rover. I'm seriously excited to get you started, to see it get started. Yeah, thanks, Julian. I appreciate that. It's going to be a fun project. It really is. It's funny enough, a robot supplier reached out to me today, and I told them they wanted to send some temp sensors and stuff like that. It was basically like icy station, and I told they had a 6-wheel drive rover robot chassis available on their site, and I mentioned to them that I would be interested in something like that. Well, alright, so that's... Come on. You can do this. Need to be a little further away. There we go. Those. And... there. Upside down and backwards. And in fact, those don't look the best on that microscope, but I assure you they are insanely smooth and shiny. Let's see if I can get them on the main camera. Maybe that'll be better. That looked like crap on my view, and I assure you they are not. They are happy. Yeah, now you can get the idea. Nice and clean, good coverage, nice and shiny. That's what you want to see. So those are well and truly capable of the amperage for the ESC, despite what the microscope would have had us believe for a moment there. They are not that bad. Cool. Well, and as with the nature of quads, it's wash, rinse, repeat. Now, the cool thing is, now that we know the length for that one, we can pretty much just go ahead and cut the leads for the other ones and tin them and solder them up. We can go with just the same length and we'll be good. Ideally, you want to cut the outside ones slightly longer and the inside ones shorter, because they need to reach different lengths, but we'll be okay with that little buckle in the wire that you saw just a minute ago. And obviously remember to leave enough so that you can strip the insulation. And we don't need a lot of strip. This is a good silicone wire, so it strips very easily with just a pair of side cutters. And just pinch and pull, pinch and pull. And try not to disturb the other wires like I did there, and then you don't have to straighten out 100 strands. This is a extremely way smaller than human hair strands of silver wire. There, straighten it back out. We're good. Now we can go ahead and tin it. And all will be well. We're well on our way to building a quad. It's going to be a lot of fun. It doesn't matter if the strands are a little splayed out either. You just want to get a really good glob of solder to mate up with the really good glob that I've already got on the speed controls, which I did in a previous video. So, yeah. I would really love it if we could... What are the odds of us being able to get this? I'm stubborn. If I don't learn how to do this with the microscope cam, I just never will. It'd be really cool if we could get this on microscope cam. It might add... No. I don't know why I have so much trouble tonight. Yeah, I think we would need an overhead view. Yeah, well, we'll do it anyway. Oh, I think no matter what, I'll end up with my hand in the way. Yeah, I know my hand's in the way of that shot. Yeah, no, that's just not worth it, because that ended up making those pretty craptacular. That could be better. In all honesty, I can't leave those like that. And no. I want to be able to show this quad to people. I don't want it looking like hell. That looks better. That looks looks more gooder. The center joint was actually a little cold. It was quite dull in color, which means it's a cold joint. Or a semi-cold joint. There. That's not my absolute finest work because of a little bit of ugliness there, but that's just, actually trim that off. Yeah, there. We're good. That's not my finest work, but it's cleaning up a little bit of mess that I made from the on-camera work. And this is the nature of quad building. What's in the chat? Anything? Nope. You're a quiet bunch tonight. Alright. Go ahead, same one, except that one I cut, despite what I thought, I cut it a smidge long, so we'll go a little tiny bit shorter on this one. And of course that'll end up being too short, but that's the nature of the way things go. Get yourself a good pair of side cutters. See how easily that I'm able to just strip those wires just with a little pinch and a little pull. That's all it should take. With a good pair of side cutters, you don't need strippers. You just need a good feel so you're not cutting into the conductors. And that just comes with practice. And then little snip, little pull. Why is that not tinning? There we go. And a really, really hot iron. Hot, hot, hot. Especially when you're soldering larger wires. Like, these are not what I would define as large, but they are in the neighborhood of larger. And to get a really good bond with the speed control, you need lots of heat, a good bit of tin on the tip, tinned wire, tin pad, and then the heat will flow between them, and then it will stay that nice, shiny, beautiful, globbed silver that you're looking for. Not that dull, opaque, lousy look. And this one, I don't know if it's going to comply. Yeah, it did. Sweet. Just like that. We have success. Done and dusted. Ouch! And very, very hot. What brand are those side cutters, John? I'll tell you something about these. My father had these particular side cutters. I can't vouch for whether it was when I was born in 1979, but it was shortly thereafter because I remember him using these exact ones all my young life, and then I scooped them a little later. So, is there... I guarantee the company is long gone, but it says Made in USA on them. There is a patent number on them. Oh, it's XURO. Patent number 3774301. Made in Connecticut. So, pretty much guarantee you're not going to find those ones. They, because I don't abuse them either. Like I don't go cutting zip ties and crap with these. These are for working with electronics because they're the perfect tilt. They're just great for snipping off leads off of the circuit board when you're done through-hole soldering, or in the case of what you're seeing here, stripping wires. They are perfection for it. And if you treat them right, like most tools, they will last you a ridiculous number of years. And this is what I would call a ridiculous number of years. I don't have many tools other than my snap-on stuff from my trade years that has lasted like these. There are a couple nicks I can see down close to the throat, but up here near the tip, because I only use them for electronics, and my father did the same, I'm sure, they are still kicking. No idea how old these things are. Ridiculous. It's amazing. Good quality stuff. Definitely not eBay China, those ones. Oh, cheers, Julian. On your way. Good to see you, buddy. Andrew, how much for a kit? Well, for one of these kits, I was buying this particular kit from GearBest complete for 169 Canadian pesos, which was an unbelievable deal. So much of a deal, I purchased, all told, 3 of them. This is a different frame. This is the same as the frame of the one that I showed you a few minutes ago, but you get everything: video transmitter, speed controls, your frame, your motors, power distribution board, and an SPF3 flight control. And it was 169 bucks, and you literally can't build it for that. It's pretty hard pressed to buy that many, to buy those components for that price. In fact, I couldn't. I looked into it. That's why I bought that last kit, was just for the speed controls and motors, so that I have a spare when I blow a motor or a speed control, which I haven't done yet, which actually as well blows me away. I can't believe that these things are still going. They are tough. Hopefully this one serves me well, but we'll see. Antique John, yeah. Zach's got to go. Cheers. Thanks, Zach. Alright, let's get this soldered, and then I can have a beer and maybe shoot the breeze with you guys if anybody's in the chat. Soldered. I wish I could have done this on the microscope, but oh well, so be it. No. Last one's gonna... Oh, come on, don't be like that. Last one's gonna be a bear. Why you gotta be like that? Yeah, crap. Last one was fine when I finished. Now I went and screwed up the middle one. Ugh. That is fugly. That is fugly. That is less fugly. But I don't know. I don't like that. Because I spent so much time screwing with it, your layer of flux breaks down, and then you can end up joining the 2 terminals. And because we're measuring through the motor, we're going to have a hard freaking time telling whether it's completely bridged or not. It's actually fine. One way to tell. Don't like it. I usually don't screw around. No, it's fine. It's fine. Under the nifty little magnifying light, we can see that they are absolutely a-okay. It's just not the prettiest work I've done. No one else will notice that. It still looks better than 90% of the joints I see on YouTube. But yeah, definitely could have been better. Alright, sorry. I got the microphones flipped up. Let's take one last look at it. Let's see. Let's see. Can we get this to... Now, yeah, no. It just looks like a ball of crud on the, because we're not direct on. If I can hold it steady enough to go overhead, they should look significantly better. That's our joints there. And focus. Fixed focal length. Gotta move the camera. Yeah, get you seasick, but gets the idea across. There's these ones. Pretty good. Not my best work, but from behind a camera, it'll do. There's number 3. And that side one, let me have a closer look at it. Looks like crap on camera, but it's fine. And then number 4, this is the fugly one that the middle gave me a hard time with, but it's still a plenty good joint. Good solder coverage. Plenty good enough. That will flow the amperage, and it really does look like crap on that camera. It seriously does not look that bad in person, but hey, so be it. Alright, guys, there we go. We've got a quad. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take and we're going to conformal coat these with MG Chemicals silicone modified conformal coating, and I will use this stuff which has never been out of the package. We will brush it on. I don't think I'll do this inside because I know what this stuff does for vapor flash off. It is significant. It is flammable. It's funny enough, flammable symbols are on the back side of the can. Danger, don't breathe it. Danger explosive, danger flammable. Yeah, all the good stuff. I'll do that outside, and I think what I'll do is I'll just mask the quad and use the spray. And I'm going to hose these because we don't need to do anything with them ever again. Well, at least not for now. And then somewhere around here, I have from DigiKey some brand new heat shrink for these. I have no idea where oh, here it is. This monster that you'll only see on the overhead. Tubes of heat shrink. Instead of folding it or balling it up, they sent it as this just monstrosity. Of course, it was FedEx overnight because it's DigiKey. They are been dealing with them for since I was a kid when my father was ordering from them, back when I stole those side cutters. All right, so it's a little aggressive or lax on the width, so we'll see how it shrinks down. I forget the shrink ratio to this. It's pretty heavy. It should shrink down and cover RASC just fine. And in fact, if this was a separatable or a bolt-on arm, we could slip it over the backside and heat shrink it right to the arm. But in this case, I'm gonna go through. That's why I'm leaving the wires off the flight control until we do this. When we waterproof them, we'll stick this on there and shrink it down. And between the conformal coating and this, we are going to be golden, and we will essentially have the beginnings of a waterproof quad. And we will do the same to the flight control and the speed and the receiver and the video transmitter. It's not going to be completely waterproof no matter what, but most of the low voltage stuff is pretty tolerant to being conformal coated and taking a little water and then drying it out, as long as you remove the power from it quickly if you dunk it. So I think we should be pretty good. I think we should be able to make a waterproof quad. That's pretty much the extent of where things are at tonight, guys. We have the beginnings of the Red October super monster little beast of a quad. This thing's going to be a lot of fun. Happy you guys could join me tonight. If anybody has anything to say, go ahead and throw her in the chat, and I'll try and respond before we head out. Otherwise, we're going to call it a night. I'm glad I got to hang out with you guys. Look forward to the giveaway. Well, the giveaway announcements next week. Oh yeah, by the way, save all these wires. If you're working on quads and stuff, save all the wires that you cut off. These things are great for bodge wires when you're doing electronic circuits and stuff, because this is really high quality silicone wire from these from the speed controls as well as the motors. You don't usually find this stuff in other components. Super flexible, super easy to make jumpers and repair components, and you can make jumper wires out of this too by just tinning the ends and using it right into a breadboard. But truthfully, this stuff is too high grade for that. For making jumper wires, you want to use some old Ethernet cable, some solid core. But this is really high current, really good quality stuff. So I save all these, I throw them up on the top of the bench, and I just reach up there when I need one, which is actually quite frequently. Not frequently on camera though. You guys don't see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I'm trying to do more now that we have the live stream setup working here on the bench, and we can do, I don't know, some kind of higher quality stuff with any luck. John says, great job so far. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. What's the company you plan on getting the rover? Oh, I don't even remember the name. It had robot in the name of the company. I couldn't begin to say. It was definitely an overseas supplier, and their product line was exceedingly similar to Icy Station. And they offered me like DHT11s and some Arduino stuff and whatever to do review on the channel. And most of the time I have no luck with, like, I get approached by one of those a week. But it just so happened that under the robot section, I noticed this 6-wheel drive robot. I guarantee they'll refuse because it was $265 was the price tag on it. And generally, when you've just started working with a company as a YouTuber, there's no way they'll send you anything with that kind of dollar value. So I guarantee that they'll probably refuse. Pretty much guarantee it. Can't see that working out, but hey, whatever. I'll ask and I'll try, because if it works out, I'll do several videos on it. It's not what I want though. What I want is to do a larger one, big Power Wheels thing that I can run outside in the yard, particularly in the winter, and have enough room for these. See if I can reach them. I have a case of these. These are sealed lead acid Panasonic heavy duty batteries. I forget the amp hour rating on these, but it's significant. These are pretty much the same ones that you'll find in emergency lighting backup, except these are not the cheap ones you get for emergency lighting. These are significantly more expensive. So yeah, I got a whole pile of these. These would be fantastic to put a bank of these together. I'm picturing probably 6 of them or so, and that would be enough to run my rover a long time if I work the power management smartly with the different microcontrollers. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Looking to get a magnifying light like the one you have on the arm. Did you get it from Amazon? Yeah. It should be. Is it linked? It was Amazon. It's on the makeme.org store. Makeme.org/store or store. No, it's store.makeme.org now. It should be on the front page there, this exact model that I got. And I can tell you I love this thing because it has the third hand down below, which you can tell I'm not using much because there's no heat shrink on the alligator clips, because I'm still attached to using this other one that's portable. But this kind of telescopic alligator clip is so handy, and on the back side it actually has a spool for 2 rolls of solder, and then the battery operated, or it comes with a 110 adapter, I believe. It might only be battery, I forget. I think it was 2 AA's, and it's LED ring light, works fantastic, and it's on the front page of the store.makeme.org. So yeah, I haven't done a video on it yet. It's actually on my list to do a video on that thing, like a quick standalone electronics tips videos, which you'll see more of coming out. There's already one scheduled to be published, I think in 3 weeks. of some just basic electronic stuff. Is it bigger than the first Rover? Oh yeah, Armando, the 6-wheel drive one that I'm looking at getting, or well, that I inquired that I would accept, was approximately, I'd say 3 times the size of this. It's well, 2.5 times for sure. It's quite large, quite wide, and 6-wheel drive with full suspension. But I still want to do the Power Wheel style, which would be in an order of magnitude bigger than this. What's big enough for myself to sit on. That's what I want to transfer everything into. But we'll see if I can find one of those. They want too much money for those. They want like $500 for those kids ride-on things. So I don't think I'll end up using one just because of the price point. All right. Cheers, John. All right, guys, I think I'm done for tonight. That was a fun broadcast. Glad you guys could join me. We got the majority of a quad out of the deal. That's pretty cool. We are well on our way. Next week I will seal this up and we'll get going with the rest of the assembly and the flight controller, and this thing's going to be a nutcase. I don't have any video on the channel of one of these flying yet, because the only video I had was my friend who was standing out at the field with me. I gave him a GoPro and said, track, see if you can catch some video of one of these, and I was flying FPV goggles and I'm just ripping up and down the field, and he did a great job tracking it. But seeing one of these on a GoPro from the ground, yeah, that didn't work at all. It it was just an angry bumblebee speck that zoomed through the screen. So I'll see if I can do better for you guys. It's gonna be fun. Cheers, guys. Have a great night. Fun hanging out tonight. Have a good one.